Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining Create with Dee. I'm Dee Slater, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making a fun fold. We're going to have a diagonal cut on the front of it, and it's going to have a fun flap that you can do. It's one easy cut, and you'll be able to change up how your cards are made and everything. So it's a fun layout. As always, when you come on, if you'd like to say hello in the comments, if you're watching live, or even if you're watching the replay, please do say hi in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. I live in Northeast Indiana, where I do my local card classes and stream from the channels here from Indiana. So welcome to the class today. So here's our card that we're going to be making. And I do have a couple of little announcements as people are getting notifications that I'm going live. One is that starting in August, whoops, not that one. There we go. Wanting to let you know that starting in August 5th, Stampin' Up's having an in color promotion where 15% off of all of the 2025-27 in colors. So on August 5th, if you need anything from the in colors or you want to take a peek on my online store at dslater at stampinup.net, you can see what that promotion is. Also, I've got 2 card classes in August. So if you're on my newsletter, you'll be getting information on that. In the comments or in the description of this video below, if you want to be on my newsletter, please do subscribe. But I'll be having 2 classes in August. I've got a Floral Charms card class, which, it's just going to be a really pretty fall floral, as it kind of states there, class that you can do. And then also I'm going to have a creative class where you get a little more product on it, and we're going to do some scenes using some of the beautiful scenery paper that Stampin' Up! Has, and a couple of fun little layouts to try as well. Okay, let me get the camera back here on it. Okay, I'll turn the camera around to our product here, and our project here. I'm tongue-tied today, and we'll get started making this. Oops, let's see, there we go. So here's the diagonal fold flap card measurements. If you'd like, you can pause the video on replay and take a screenshot of this. Our measurements are going to be a card base. I'm using Lost Lagoon today. It's going to be 5.5 by 8.5, a traditional card base, scored or folded at 4 1/4. We're going to have 2 sheets of designer paper cut at 5 1/4 by 4, another piece of a matching designer paper 4 by 2 3/4, and for the inside 4 by 2 3/4. I don't put the what I'm using on this simply so that you can go ahead and use whatever you have in your Stampin' Stash. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's our card for today. Again, it's diagonal front on here with a flap over. So when you open it up, it's really interactive for the recipient to have. I'm going with a fall birthday card. This totally is a masculine card. I've got not only hubby's birthdays in the fall, but both of my brother-in-laws are in the fall of the year. So I'm not sure who these are going to, but it's definitely can go masculine if you'd like. All right. This is another easy fold. I've been into trying to find you guys the easy fun folds to try. So something to mix up your card fronts a little bit. All right, these are all of our goodie components. All right, so like I said, we've got our card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored, and you'll want to go ahead and fold it at 4 1/4. And we're going to get our trimmer out and do a very, very easy trim on the diagonal. So you do want to have your card base in the upright position here. We're going to open it up and we're going to get our trimmer out, and we're going to just make a diagonal cut from the fold line, the score line, down to the bottom. So upper left to bottom right. And to do that, you just, here's the track of your trimmer. Line up one point to there. Let me go ahead and kind of angle this a little bit so that you can see. So we'll put the fold line for the top left corner on the track and the bottom corner of the card, the right corner. Skip this up here. So just make sure it's on the track to track. That looks great. Close it and trim. So that's all there is to making the front flap. We're going to do the same thing with our designer paper. I'm using Timeless Plaid today. Love that for masculine cards. It's a great designer paper to have, or just to have that plaid background. We want to do it in the same direction. Now pretend this has a pattern, like this doesn't really have an orientation to it, but you want to, if you did have an orientation, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to making sure you've got it going in the right direction. And then we're going to cut our designer paper upper left to lower right, just like we did before. And this is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to line those up again on the track. Kind of moved on me there just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. And cut. Okay, don't need the trimmer anymore. I'm going to move that off to the side. So this piece is going to go here. We can save this for another project, and I'll also show you how you can modify this here at the end. All right, let's go ahead. If you can do that much, everybody, you are golden with doing this layout. So I'm going to use my liquid glue, and let's just go ahead and get this put together. This is going to be super easy. I'm going to put the card base, put our card together first. And then if you want to stick around, and I'll show you how that I decorated this sample. Okay, so that's how you mat it on the front. And then like the instructions, the direction or the measurement said, we need 2 pieces of the designer paper. So you can use the same pattern or you can use a different one. I just used a coordinating one. Again, this is Timeless Plaid, another one at 5 1/4 by 4. And this is going to go on the inside. So we'll get that. Get that on here. Straighten it up. All right, and then also what we're going to need is another piece of cardstock. I kind of tend to use the same color. If you wanted to, you could use a coordinating color in your pattern, but I just like to kind of do the tone on tone. And this is 8 1/2 by 3. Okay, and so you can go ahead and score it ahead of time. I'm going to show you that if you want to, you can just, line up the edges and fold. So when you're all done, you have a card front. You have another little card front base that is 3 inches by 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and just, well, why don't we do this first? Where's my... Okay, so then another piece of designer paper. I just kind of even picked a 3rd coordinating one from this pack. And this is cut at 4 by 2 3/4. Again, the measurements are on the front of the video. If you want to go back and grab those. And let's go ahead and put that on the front. Okay. Now we're going to glue our little, basically this becomes like another card within a card, right? So I'm going to put adhesive all on the back side of our little mini card and open up the inside. And I like to center this on the inside. And then you can see where this is pretty much complete. So that's the basics, everybody, on how to make this card base. Now let's go ahead and we'll do some decorating. All right. So I'm using for my color palette, you could use, basic white or whatever, but I thought since we're looking fall and everything that I'm going to go a little darker on the cardstock that I'm going to be doing some stamping on. So I'm using Crumb Cake. My stamp set today is Simply Said, and it's one of these stamp sets that you've probably seen me use every now and then on my video. It's just that easy to like just exactly those sentiments that you want to grab. So if you don't want to look through all of your stamp sets, like that's a nice one. Oh, and I'm also using the die cut images are from the Label Me Grateful. This is part of a bundle. And so like if you're doing a bunch of thank yous and want to change that, you can. But like I said, I'm using it for birthday cards. But I love this die set. It can be, it's a, what I kind of, even though it's part of a bundle, it is a standalone or die set. So I'm using this label and I'm pulling out like the oak leaf and then the oak, the little acorn stems. So that's the motifs I'm going to use for my fall card. So I've got Lost Lagoon ink, and here's my happy birthday. So I've die cut that label from Label Me Grateful Dies, and I'm going to stamp it vertically. And birthday wishes. And then while I have my stamp and ink pad out, this is another one from the Simply Said. So it's, birthday wishes, let's celebrate. And this is the same dimensions as our designer paper on the front. So this is, again, this is 4 by 2 3/4. Hi, Jan. Thank you. Yes, it is so cute and easy. Oh, shoot. I wanted to show something. Let me go ahead and stamp off on this. Okay. A trick if you guys need reminding, or maybe you've never seen it before, on the photopolymer stamps, you can bend these. They have memory to them, so they'll go back. I'm going to do a little arch just to kind of do a reminder that you can bend these photopolymers. So here's my Let's Celebrate. And so now I've got a little arch. I hope that's straight on the card. Yay. So I just, oops, it froze. So I just, arched my photopolymer stamp, and now I have this arched Let's Celebrate. And then, like I said, it's got memory. It just will bounce back to the original size. Okay, that's all the stamping that we're going to do. All right, let's go ahead and we'll put this on first. So I've got my dimensional. Oh, let's go ahead and put this on the inside. Again, this is a 4 by 2 3/4 piece of cardstock that I'm using for the inside. Okay, I always like to kind of close the flap so that I can see where this is going on my, when I'm putting it together. It's a fairly large die, minimum 5 dimensionals on the back, maybe even 6 if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and get those pulled off. Beep. I find these backings of the dimensionals in the craziest places. They static cling to everything. Okay, so here's my birthday wishes. I'm going to center that on the front panel. And ahead of time with the Label Me Grateful dies, I die cut out of Mossy Meadow 2 of the oak leaves, and out of Pecan Pie, I did, it's cardstock color, I did 2 of the acorns. So let's go ahead and I'll get those out. I'm going to grab my mini dimensionals. You can always cut regular size in half. And, you know, you can kind of play around with where you want your leaves. I think I'm going to go like this. So I'm kind of going to come up a little more inside than what I did before. Okay, I think I like that. So let's, I want to go ahead and pop up the leaves. And I'm using my mini dimensionals. I'm going to kind of put it right on the center of the oak leaf. Whoops, missed the, there we go. And I'll show you how a little modification of the linen thread here in a bit as well. On my original one, I put the linen thread behind the label, and on this one, I pre-tied a bow. Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna get this one kind of started like this. Like I said, I'm gonna kind of bring in my acorn look a little closer this time, maybe. Let's bring it back. Too close. See? There, that looks good. And so I'm just going to overlay the acorns on it. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my liquid glue. Just kind of freehand it in the air. And overlap that just a little bit. Just enough to tack that down. And I'm going to get my scissors, and I don't want all of this extra here. So we can just trim off what we don't want. And we'll do the same thing with the top part of it. Blow off the dimensional off of my hands. There we go. So again, just enough glue to kind of tack it down. Doesn't need to be too much. You could use your sponge dauber however that you'd like. I'm going to go this other direction. And again, I don't want that stem to be quite that far down. I'm going to go ahead and snip some of that off. Such a fun fall card with that acorn look on it. All right, so ahead of time, I've used my bow maker. I have a little mini bow maker. That's how I like to do my bows. I know people can freehand them, but I just always like the look of that. And let's see here. I'm gonna get my mini glue dot. And with my pre-tied linen thread bow, pick up a glue dot and add a little linen texture to the front of the card. And even though this is going to go to one of my brother-in-laws or possibly my husband, I do want to add a little sparkle to it. So like if you've taken some of my online classes, you might have some of these low profile dots from a previous class. Always like to show how you can use them outside of the suite of products. You can grab anything in your gem stash that you want to use. Again, this is just the low profile. I have so much tacky glue on my fingers. Let's get underneath there. There we go. And let's just add a little sparkle. On the other one, I used the large gems. This one, I'm going to pull up the small ones. I think I got more glue on my finger than what I do on the back of that. We'll keep it there. If I had my baby wipes handy, I'd grab it. Okay, so we just added a little sparkle to the front of the card. And of course, as you know, you can add your gems to the inside too. So that's the card. And then here's the one where I put there it goes for a second. So hopefully that wasn't freezing up so bad as what we had before. sometimes it doesn't, when I watch the replay, it doesn't freeze up as much. But anyways, here I put the linen thread behind it. So even, and then here I have the little bow. All right. I think sometimes when I hold it up to my other camera, it kind of stops for some reason. It doesn't like the movement. So that's the class, but what I thought I would just kind of show you is that when you cut these down to the measurements that you need, since this is 4 inches and the paper's 2 by 2, you end or 4 or 6 by 6, you have a 2-inch square or strip left. If you want, you can cut that in half to get a 1-inch. We're just gonna have a little fun decorating the front of our envelope. So I'm going to put a little adhesive right here on the strip, so that we don't let our scraps go to waste. We might as well use them all the way. I'm just going to line that right on the bottom of my envelope. Take out my scissors and trim off that excess. If you wanted to, you could use the whole 2 inches or whatever. 2 inches isn't quite enough to cover the envelope flap, but you can add that little trim look to the bottom of it. And what a cute coordinating envelope that you just made now. All right, that is our class today. While it's not freezing, hopefully you can see now here I just added the ribbon or the thread behind it to give it some texture. And here I added it to the front. I'm always partial to the bows, but maybe you don't want to send a bow to a male. But I think both of these are adorable for some fall birthdays. All right, let me turn the camera around. Oh, thank you, Jan. I thought they turned out really well too for a masculine fall birthday, or any time that you want to send a masculine card. Of course, just change up the sentiments. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching me live or that you're watching the replay. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And it really helps my channel when viewers like, comment, or even share my videos. So if there's somebody here that you might think that would like this easy card to make, please do share the link and leave a comment and like the video. All right, everybody, have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.